There's a snake in here, Amy.
What?
Hello, and welcome to Waste of Space, where we analyze aspect ratio usage in cinema one movie at a time. Today, we'll be looking at the 2010 film, The Social Network. And just so you know, there will be spoilers. The Social Network was directed by David Fincher, and its cinematographer was Jeff Cronenweth. Shot on digital Red 1 cameras, the film is presented in the aspect ratio of 2:39:1. On home video, this is rounded to 2.4:1. Covering the origins of Facebook, the screenplay was famously written by Aaron Sorkin, resulting in a film that is fully reliant on its characters and dialogue. That said, the film makes incredible use of its wide aspect ratio by showing off the environments the characters live and interact in. While there are some close-ups and lined-up shots of characters, in addition to shots of objects and things, a lot of shots in The Social Network make sure the environment is ever present. First, we have environmental shots, where the characters are living within the frame. For me, living within the frame means seeing most or all of an environment and the characters interacting within that environment with few or no close-ups. The first example unassumingly comes from the film's opening credits. While said credits sort of fool the brain into seeing everything as mere environmental showcase, Mark Zuckerberg is running along streets and campus the entire time. In some ways, even though we have these grand images of nighttime Harvard University, our focus is on Mark, who is about to embark on a world-changing journey. The scene of Eduardo Saverin waiting for Mark after his administrative board hearing serves as another example of characters living within the frame. We see them talking near the steps briefly before walking and moving away from the building, at which point they start disappearing into the environment. The shot of Eduardo getting his second Phoenix punch is another brief example, as his entire dorm room is in view as we see him notice the envelope left for him. The close-ups only come when we see him grab and react to having received said envelope. There's also the introduction of Sean Parker, where the environment is small but the frame still manages to capture it, along with Sean laying in bed taking the whole frame while Amy is standing in her living room. And of course, we have the scenes set at the house in California, which feature various characters and activities occurring all at once. If anyone is living within the frame, it's these guys. Next, we have shots of characters grouped within the environment. The early sequence that intercuts between Mark's dorm, the Phoenix Club party, and the sharing of Face Smash shows off the different groups of people and their environments in a stylish and energetic fashion. An even more stylish example is in the Henley Royal Regatta scene. Other than looking different from every other scene in the film, it puts intense focus on the boats and buildings, the people watching the race, and the race itself. The deposition scenes are almost entirely shots of characters grouped together due to the environments being enclosed for the purposes of verbal communication. And while the deposition scenes are full of grouped together characters, there are still moments of isolation. Physical isolation is obvious when Mark is alone with his computer. But there's emotional isolation when Mark does his best to ignore the lawyer representing Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss. Speaking of Winklevoss, I want to talk about one more thing: one-on-one scenes. There are select scenes where Mark is having one-on-one conversations with other characters. The first one I want to cover is technically one-on-two, but I really like the moment Mark meets Cameron and Tyler. Mark is framed pretty casually in a medium close-up, with the environment around him visible, albeit out of focus. Cameron and Tyler, on the other hand, encompass the frame almost completely. These guys are clearly bigger than Mark, but he's also everything they're not, and this first exchange makes that pretty clear. Mark and Eduardo have two one-on-one conversations that are only 3 minutes apart. First is when Eduardo arrives to California and learns that the company is moving very fast and he's not being updated on everything that's happening. Aside from a few close-ups, the scene is mostly presented in a medium shot that shows the characters interacting in a tight hallway. That conversation leads into the other one-on-one, where Mark in California calls Eduardo in New York. This scene has multiple cuts and angles. What's happening is a big deal, and we can't afford to miss any part of it. Mark and Sean also have two notable one-on-one conversations. In the nightclub scene, Sean talks a lot, while Mark mostly listens in silence. The first shot shows off the club, but this scene is mostly close-ups, so we're focused on the conversation Mark and Sean are having. It's quite different from the other one-on-one conversation they have in the film's penultimate scene. Much like the second one-on-one with Eduardo, this one features Mark on the phone with Sean after his party gets busted and he's at the police station. The two characters are mostly on opposite ends of the frame. Sean is dimly lit with no additional shots, and Mark is still at the office with a couple extra shots thrown in. The last one-on-one scene I want to cover is the film's first scene, Mark's date with Erica Albright. It's a conversation between two people in a bar that features wide two-shots, medium close-up shots, and regular close-up shots. In many ways, this opening scene is one of the most active and most simple in the entire film. The dialogue flows without a hitch, and the visuals are never too showy in their approach. It doesn't try anything flashy. It simply and beautifully presents a one-on-one conversation in widescreen. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.